information about what his ankle is going to look like. So that's not something that was talked about in the locker room there. Credit Creighton. I thought the difference in the game was we did the job we wanted to do on Kalkbrenner. We made it tough on him. And I thought you did as good a job on Ashworth as you can. Two of the best players in the league. And at a time, I think where we lost the game was when we were doing a great job on them. And then obviously Neal was the difference in the game. And, and Trout, 7. Yeah, so, we two guys, and that rarely happens on the road where, two guys that are averaging a combined 15 points, score a combined 35. That's something that generally would happen to you, when you're on the road versus a team. So just in that first half when we were doing a great job on Kalkbrenner, doing a great job on Ashworth, we had a window there where we really should have been up 6 to 8 points, 10 points at halftime. But Neal killed us and Trout killed us. And, just the theme of our season, we're obviously, we're not, we're not who we've been. I'm not sure if Liam, when he returns is going to be able to, to be able to fix the, the lack of tenacity. The lack of tenacity that we have right now, coaches and players as a program, we're a shell of ourselves. From a defensive standpoint, we've only won the rebounding battle twice in Big East games, and the bar is so low for us defensively. We're just not a tenacious enough team. Obviously, long winning streak at home goes out the window. But this team wasn't responsible for that, for those long winning streaks. It's the tenacious, the tenacious teams that were elite defensively, elite rebounding teams, that played with incredible passion and intensity. Those are the teams that, built that long winning streak. We're just a good team. We're a good, top 20, top 25 team, but we're obviously this current version of us, the defense and the rebounding, make us nothing like we've been.
And with Neal, did it just come down to, you tried a few different guys on him, just kind of not just poor one-on-one defense more than anything?
Yeah, poor one-on-one defense. You're putting a lot of your attention into into Ashworth and into Kalkbrenner, and then we've seen Neal do this. Neal did this Villanova at home, maybe was when he went off and had this type of a game. But there's things in scouting report where Luke and Kamani, I think, are as good in the country, if not as good as anyone in terms of putting together defensive game plans, and how we just let him kept getting his right hand. How you let a dominant righty driver and a guy that loves to go right just continue to drive the ball right. It's a lack of attention to detail, and it's a lack of will and.
Coach the tenacity and the will into this team, or is it too late for that?
There are a lot. I've said this before. They're great guys in there. These guys are great. They're awesome on campus and on the airplanes and in the restaurants, and which is great. That's how you want to be. But then when you take the court, switch has to flip, and you have to become a maniacal, ruthless, relentless warrior, competitor, life or death urgency to rebound the ball and win loose balls and Yeah, I mean, and we've been fortunate. And listen, we're obviously the roster's flipped. The I mean, it's about being like a warrior, an incredible competitor.
Dan, as you got to know this team's collective personality over the months, is that an issue you thought might come up with this team, or is this a surprise to you?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it. I've spoken to the team through you guys in the media. There's a hunger. Like there's a hunger that you have to have when you take the court. There's this wild desire that you have to have, where you will not be denied, and where you're going to get over a screen and you're going to contest the shot and you're going to track down a loose ball and you're going to give a warrior's effort, and we've certainly, that's not who we've been. I mean, we haven't been that. We'll drop again in defense here, and we'll drop more. I don't know what that means. We'll be a top 125 defense. We'll stay. We'll stay as a top 5 offense. But teams with a top 5 offense and aren't a good rebounding team and are not a good defensive team. They're soft teams. They're not tough teams. So, maybe for me, it's I'll dial my intensity up even more in practice. I'll bring more fire to the sidelines, and I just think that the team it just doesn't reflect who we've been. We haven't been able to turn these talented, nice guys into fierce, savage competitors.
Coach, results-wise, we're only halfway through January, but it feels somewhat similar to the January that this team had in 2023.
I still have some January left, so please don't put that on me.
I won't. Don't worry.
We're only. I mean, I went like 2-6 in January, right? 2 years ago. We're 2. What are we in January right now? 3-2. All right, so you're being overly negative about January.
I apologize.
I made up with
about
January
that.
last year too, so. All right, keep going. Sorry.
The point that I'm trying to make, does this current situation that you're facing, does it feel at all similar to the January 23 situation?
I would say no, just because we were so dominant in the non-conference. I mean, we destroyed people in November and December. And then we knew we had a dominant team, and it was like the perfect storm of events where, I mean, when we've shown that, we're not who we've been with the way we guarded in Maui, the way we played in Maui, the way we rebounded in Maui, our inability, at Georgetown up 23 to end up closing the game in the last 7 minutes, winning by 8. Like, we've shown tons of vulnerabilities that our past teams have not shown. I've said this for a couple weeks since Liam went down. I think if we could find enough ways to win games while Liam is out here and not get totally demoralized, like that January, a couple of years back, when we reinsert him into the lineup. I mean, he's one of the best players in the league, and on a team that needs its best players on the court, he would make a huge difference if he's on the court for 35 minutes. He affects our rebound. He affects our clutch play down the stretch. He plays with swagger that not a lot of players had on the court today. He's one of our highest usage people, getting in the paint and creating. So, I mean, we've got to find a way just to try to win enough of these games. The Butler game coming up, just gut these games out until he gets back. And then just hope we can get some consistency out of a Jalen Stewart. He's had these 14-point games that he's followed up with a 0. He can't, he's got to stay consistent. He don't get 14 every game, but he did some great things for us out there today. Solo ball. So some of the development of these people, we've got a shot when we get him back. But my fear is that we're such a weak, we're such a kind of a soft team. And now the teams that take the court with us, we've lost that aura that we've had when we've taken the court the last couple of years, where they see a little bit of it on film when they prepare for us and saying these guys aren't as vicious and nasty. And then they share the court with us, and then they feel it as well, and that's become a problem.
And what needs to change for Alex to be able to impact the game more early on? Only 3 shots in the first half, and then what was Creighton doing to kind of keep you guys off the 3-point line in the first?
Well, it's what they do, and that's the luxury of Kalkbrenner. He impacts the game defensively the way that Donovan would impact the game defensively for us, where he allows you to do things in ball screen defense and with 3-point line defense that is rare. So, but Alex, he should not have taken 3 shots at halftime. He should have taken 16 to 18 shots in this game today. There were, there were probably, even with Kalkbrenner in that deep drop, those floaters and those short touch shots at the logo were available for him, even though they were chasing him over the top of the pins. So, Alex has got to, he's just got to fire away in these games. I mean, he should have went, 5 for 17 today and just have no regrets about just letting it rip.
Dan, if you can do it without getting yourself in trouble on the foul called against Haas. I mean, did you clearly see him shooting the ball at that point?
I didn't really see it, and obviously you're mad in the moment because you just, you're trying to scratch out a game, but there were the officials. I mean, James is a great ref, and Clock and Matt. I mean, I was more disappointed. I watch games, and they're calling no illegal screens in college, and I watch these games, I see illegal screens happening, all over the place. So that would be my only thing is they called 2 illegal screens versus us today. I watch college games, and they're not calling travels, they're not calling illegal screens, and we got 2 illegal screens called against us in a game. And then we get held a lot, obviously, while we're moving without the ball. So if we get held and now, we're maybe giving a little bit of a hip on a screen that we're getting held before we get there. I mean, those things. But today, it had nothing to do with those guys. I mean, the officiating that we've had stateside this year has been excellent, and that's why, I think, my demeanor has been what it's been in every game that hasn't been played on an island. Thank you.
Coaches talked a lot this year about you guys just not being tough enough and nasty enough, and today he actually called you guys soft defensively. I mean, how does a player react to hearing something like that?
Yeah, he's absolutely right. From top down, we just haven't been able to do the hard things well, like rebounding the ball, on the defensive end, guarding the ball, digging loose balls out. We just haven't been able to do so this year.
Jalen, you had a nice game out there. You've had some nice efforts here in periodically throughout the year, but then, like Coach was saying, you'd back it up maybe with not a great game. How do you just get get more consistent in your game?
Yeah, I think it all just starts in practice with preparation. Just hold myself accountable for every little thing. Just giving it my all every day, like on and off the court. I feel like we just gotta have that professionalism about us, and I feel like, like I said, some of us just aren't serious right now. I think as a whole, we just gotta get more serious.
Haas, you and Alex Sampson, you were on the two teams that had that tenacity and had those qualities that Coach was talking about. How do you kind of pull that back and instill that into this team with still a lot of games to go?
Yeah, I would just say I think we need to do a better job as the leaders of the team of being a great example of doing it each and every day, starting with me, and just, trying to get guys to understand how hard it is to win a game in the Big East, how hard it is to win a game in college. We have to understand that, and we have to attack that like it's really hard to do.
The 3-point at the very end of the game, and for that matter, even the end of the first half. You think those were situations where you were fouled during the shot? And
the refs, they're gonna call what they called. They did a great job today. Those missed calls are not the reason why we lost the game. So at this point, it doesn't matter.